Another game, another defeat, another chase for Sunrise Hyderabad, which have absolutely cocked up. We'll talk about all of this and much more on Criclytics Man vs Machine. Don't go anywhere. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to discuss the post-match between Mumbai and Hyderabad and deconstruct what's happened and make some sense of it, because it's been yet another disastrous run chase for the Sunrise Hyderabad, which is Brian's favourite team, and we have the man with us right now. Brian, you mentioned earlier whether a captain will be brave enough after winning the toss to Chepauk and bat first. Rohit Sharma did just that. Does fortune favour the brave?
Yeah, but it's the right thing to do, because chasing at Chepauk is dangerous. You sort of resign yourself when you bat first to struggle through. If you get 175, you know that you're in with a big chance. You'd be huge favourites to win. But you struggle through and you get to 150 and you leave that field thinking, well, it's not the best score. But my word, at that stadium, on that pitch, and with what has happened since the beginning of 2021 IPL, it's defendable. It is just I can't really find a reason why teams are not chasing such small totals, and it's tough for SRH tonight as well.
Absolutely, it's almost retro IPL this. In the initial years we saw 140, 150 being difficult, but then of course with the modern era 180 has been par, but we're not seeing those kind of totals in this IPL, at least in Chepauk. Let's of course talk about some of the turning points, Brian, because there was a few for SRH. Which was bigger, Johnny Bairstow's hit wicket or David Warner's run out?
I would say Johnny Bairstow's hit wicket, because the pace he was batting at placed zero pressure on David Warner. David Warner went about his business whilst Johnny Bairstow really took the bowling apart. So they needed him there just to continue. And if he was there for another 3 or 4 overs, the task would have been much easier. But his wicket, that was just unbelievable. To get out like that, batting so well, it just felt like, is this the turning point? How could someone looking so good step on his stumps at this crucial time of the innings?
Yeah, that was a big wicket, and then the double low with Warner's run out, of course, and that's when Mumbai knocked the door and eventually broke it down. Let's now get into the Criclytics mixer in terms of the predictions, Brian, because it was a 1-0 slender win to the Machine today. Quite a few horrible predictions from your side and the Machine. We'll start off for the batsman, because Suryakumar Yadav is what the Machine said. Criclytics backed him, but he, of course, perished at 10. You went for Rohit Sharma. He did do well, but David Warner was the top scorer of the match. A word on Warner, because again he's thrown his wicket away. We saw him do that twice now, first against RCB and now against Mumbai.
Yes, it's unfortunate. I think that there was some kind of hesitation at the time the ball was struck just behind point. And David Warner has to understand that he's got to control that entire innings from that point on. You've picked an inexperienced middle order. You've moved Bairstow from number 4 to opening. The right thing to do. But at this stage, there is no one out there with your capabilities, with your experience. So you kind of have to dictate every single thing. And there was 5 runs scored in the over of 2 balls already. So there was no need to pick up a quick single. And the batsman just struck it and immediately took off. Warner had to respond. And it's unfortunate. I mean, he was not out by an inch or 2. He was out by a proper yard. And that just tells you there was never a single there. And that just compounded the issue even more after the dismissal of Johnny Bairstow, losing their 2 international batsmen, leaving the task up, even though it was not a huge task to get to that total, but still leaving it to some inexperience. That was bad.
Yeah, I think we've seen some fantastic run-outs already with regards to KL Rahul getting run up by Ravindra Jadeja, and then of course this one. Let's move on to the bowlers, because again, terrible predictions made by you and Criclytics. One went for Rashid, one went for Natarajan. Both of Natarajan didn't play. Rashid, of course, went and did what he does best, but really wasn't the highest wicket taker, if we have to put it that way. But eventually it was Rahul Chahar showing why he's such an asset, especially on this pitch.
Yeah, why I don't pick bowlers that were successful the match before because you think that the opposing batsmen would have watched what went on and they would learn from it. And that doesn't seem to be happening. So whenever I'm going to have a selection, I'm going to pick guys who are in form because somehow I just feel that these batsmen are not really looking and seeing what's happening. So Chahar coming up again, picking up wickets, proves again to be the man to break the backbone of the opposing team. And, congratulations to him. But I just felt that, you would keep someone like that out. And again, David Warner being left-handed was the person to do so before he got run out.
Okay, and with terms your all-rounders, because you called Jason Holder, he was left out, and Pollard was, of course, in Criclytics prediction before going into this game. It was Vijay Shankar, believe it or not, who actually did the best. Were you surprised by Holder not playing? Were you surprised by as many changes as SRH did make? They made 4, Brian.
Yeah, I just think they spoiled for choices. And I don't think the international change was that unexpected or wrong or right. They've had 3 games. They started with Nabi, they moved to Jason Holder, and now to Majid. And at no point in time, I think the players had a bad game. They all had decent games. And to me, they have to make another change in the next match, and it has to be Kane Williamson for Majid. That is the change they have to make, especially at Chepo, because he is the most complete batsman. He's the one with the best technique. So I'm hoping that they do make a 4th change in the overseas slot for the 4th position. But missing today and was a huge surprise was Priyam Garg. I think that was such a bad move. I can't see any team that brought in the players that they brought in and leave out Priyam Garg. So I hope it might be injury. I'm not sure, but they made a few too many changes for me.
Yeah, they played Virat Singh, and only time will tell, of course, if Kane Williamson will move there, and then they'd remove Mujib, like you said, and probably get back Shahbaz Nadeem. I think that suits the conditions perfectly. Let's trot on to the wicket-keepers next, Brian, because yet again, it was the match result which saved your bacon, because you went for Ridhaman Saha, didn't play, and then the machine went for Quinton de Kock, who scored 40, but the ultimate pick was Johnny Bairstow because he prevailed, of course, scoring more runs, and it was still 0-0 at this stage between you and Criclytics.
Well, I would like to introduce something because, I have zero chance if my player, I'm not in the selection room, and if my player doesn't get selected, I've immediately robbed myself of a point. I think that there should be a substitute. So if Ridhaman Saha doesn't play as the wicket-keeper, then it's got to be Johnny Bairstow. If Jason Holder doesn't play, I've got to get Majid. It's kind of unfair if you really look at it. You tell me what you think.
I think you have a valid point there, because at the end of the day, we do these shows before the match happens. If there's a late injury, Brian has made a very, very noteworthy point, should I say, and we'll take that into calculations, I guess. But let's draw on to the match result, because this is where it was ultimately decided, because the machine sided with MI, you sided with the beloved SRH, and eventually it was, of course, MI winning by 13 runs. So that was where it was won and lost, Brian. What do you have to say to Mark Butcher, more importantly, who's going to be taking the reins over from you?
Just tell Mark Butcher, you know what, stick to what your heart tells you, because sometimes when you get the selection from the machine, you tend to just sway a little bit. So good luck to him. It's been an interesting IPL. Don't go for the obvious. Play around with what you see, and good luck. I think that Mark Butcher is a very knowledgeable cricketer, and he can give the machine some fight.
I mean, I think he'd be the most pleased man to hear that wherever he's in the UK, but we'll tell him that and make sure that you do so well when you come back on our platforms, and I think in a month's time. But right now, Brian, I'm pleased to inform that you won this little mini battle, just edging it out, so you will be coming back with a lead.
Thank you.
That was Brian Lara, yet again showing why he prevails in terms of the grander scheme of things. He might have lost the battle here, but he's certainly winning the war. Thanks for watching cricket.com. It's a goodbye from me, Abhish Hegde. But watch the social media handles, everything we have to offer on YouTube.